from my own perspective, it's probably reduced the amount of time that I had to spend sorting this out, worrying about it, by about 80%. We run cycling holidays all over in a number of different locations in Western Europe. We're offering relatively leisurely cycling trips where the emphasis is as much on what the guests do off the bike as what they actually do on the bike. They're staying in really, really lovely, luxurious 4-star, sometimes 5-star hotels. And they're eating at amazing gastronomic restaurants, drinking really, really great local wines, and doing that all guilt-free because they're riding from hotel to hotel. As a cycle tour operator, we take care of everything behind the scenes, so the booking of the accommodation and all of the logistics on the ground, moving the guest luggage from hotel to hotel, so that they're happy, carefree, just to ride from destination to destination. We have 7 bases now. When I say bases, I mean that we have our own staff on the ground, we have our own vehicles, and we also have our own bike fleet, so hence the need for bike rental manager. We've got 2 of these bases in the UK, so in Sussex and the Cotswolds. We've got 4 in France, in the Loire Valley, in Champagne, Bordeaux, and in Provence in the south of France. And then our most recent one is in Italy, just on the Tuscany and Umbria border. At the moment, we've got just over 250 bikes. It was almost exactly 2 years ago. And we'd been significantly growing in terms of the number of bases, the number of bikes, therefore, that we had. Up until using Bike Rental Manager, we sort of used a system that we developed in-house, which was a lot of time spent in Excel sheets, making sure that every guest was aligned onto the correct bike, and it was a lot to keep on top of. And a couple of years ago was when we bought in the Tuscany and Umbria base, which was again going to be a significant number of bikes. I think we've got 40-ish bikes in that base at the moment, and it was kind of the tipping point for us to sort of say, actually, we need to professionalize this a bit more and get some sort of system that's making things a bit more efficient. So we were looking into various different bike rental management systems, and I had a call with Jordan and then with Jorit, and they sort of walked me through everything that the bike rental manager can offer. And we thought, great, that looks really good. And we had a sort of a trial run, and we ran it for sort of one of our own bases. I think it was the Loire base, just for like a couple of weeks, just to sort of enter in all the data. We shared it with the various different teams. So the guys that use it here in the office, our sales team, book out the bikes. Our operations team here check that everything is being loaded up correctly. And then our teams on the ground use it to actually see which bikes do I need to repair, who's on which bike. And everyone was very, very happy with it, particularly me, because I used to have to be in charge of all the Excel spreadsheets, and it reduced the amount of time that I had to spend looking at it, worrying about it, because it's all in one place and it's all quite seamless. And yeah, we sort of moved on from there and sort of briefed Jordan and Jorit on exactly what we needed it for. I suppose we're possibly quite different from some of your other customers because we are tour operating rather than just sort of pure bike rental. We sort of don't need the integration into the website. We don't need costing to sit on there because it's all included in the holiday package. And they were really brilliant at picking out the stuff that we needed. Because we have multiple locations, they built it out for us in 7 different locations, and we can split it out for each of our teams in that location so that they can only see the stuff that's relevant for them. But myself and other people in the office have the overview of the whole of the fleet, and we can move bikes between each of the locations as and when we need to. So at the end of the season, for example, quite often it's quite a fun job. We have to sort of work out how many bikes we need to buy, which bikes do we need to sell on, are there any bikes which actually are going to be better suited to go into another base. It's super easy for us to, if we needed to ship 10 bikes from Provence up to the Loire, we can just change the location that they're in and move them up, and it's sort of job done. There was definitely, as with any sort of business decision, there's always a slight kind of changing of the systems and a fair amount of work on my side to make sure that the sales team knew how to use it, the operations team knew how to use it, what we call the destination managers, so the guys that are working on the ground know how to use it. I think we actually had a little bit of training with some of those guys and Jordan as well, just to kind of get everyone up to speed on how to use it. And very, very quickly, everyone could see that actually this is just going to make everything more efficient. It's not just me complaining and saying we need this. The sales team have much more visibility on if they wanted to make a late booking. So if they had an inquiry come in today for someone to depart next week, they can see in live time the bikes are available, they're good to go. I'm not going to put pressure on the destination managers because, you know, a bike's come back and it needs servicing, for example. So yeah, it was a very smooth transition. It was pretty quick. I think there's always that teething period with a new software and rolling it out to different teams who are using it using it in different ways. But what I'd say is that it's very user-friendly, and we work with some systems where it takes a bit of time to get used to where things are stored and exactly how to do things, but everything was kind of pretty intuitive. And if we ever had an issue or people had suggestions, Jordan and Jorah, our contacts, that were really receptive to them and helped us kind of work through them. But yeah, it's been pretty happy sailing. Initially, we sort of gave a brief to Jordan and Jorah and said, you know, look, this is what we need it for. We have 7 bases, so we need sort of the ability to see everything as a whole. The whole, you know, we all 250 plus of our bikes as one fleet, but also we need to break it down into the multiple location. We need to be able to track our bikes, so we want to know how many days they've been used for. We want to know when they were last serviced. We want to be able to have the ability to track when they're being serviced. So obviously, whenever a bike comes back in, it's being serviced. We want to track it. We want to see how often we've got issues with a certain bike, so that if it keeps coming back with the same issue, we know that actually we need to look and give it a even more thorough service and resolve it in that way. Occasionally, and it's happened in the past, we might have our supplier deliver bikes and actually there's a fault with something, and it's much easier for us to pick up on that because we can see in multiple locations. We've had it with ball bearings, for example, in pedals, them not being up to the right spec, and we're able then to go back to our supplier and say that you've given those pedals with the wrong ball bearings in them. So that kind of issue is much easier to resolve and much easier to track. So that was important for us, and they went away. I think it took maybe a week or 2 weeks, so very, very quick. And they came back, but essentially with the framework, and we loaded up all of our inventory onto there. And yeah, sort of that was, I guess, probably October, November time of 2022. And it was set up and ready to go for the 2023 season. So yeah, super quick. And they've been really reactive. So if we have suggestions or if we've ever encountered any issues, they've immediately jumped on the call and jump in. And to be honest, normally they say it's not an issue. It's just that you're not doing this, and it's been resolved in that. The key benefit has been efficiency and a big time saving and giving that visibility to so many different teams within the business. From my own perspective, it's probably reduced the amount of time that I had to spend sorting this out, worrying about it, by about 80%, which is nice for my day-to-day. It's given, I think, like I was mentioning earlier, the sales team the visibility of exactly what's happening in the base, so they know, have we nearly hit capacity? Is that bike going to be available for this holiday at quite short notice? So it reduces the need to constantly be asking different departments for the answers, and it's also made it much, much easier for the guys working on the ground, so our destination managers, to have visibility of what's coming up in the weeks ahead, which bikes need to be prepared. When can I service this bike has come back and it needs a much, much more in-depth service, and I need to take it to a specialist. How long have I got before it needs to go back out again? Can I move the guest that's coming in a week onto a different bike that's available? It's that kind of, the professionalization and just the sort of aiding us in our efficiency and smooth running of the trips. It's been massive. No, I don't think so. Whilst it worked, once we started to bring in more bases, more bikes, those multiple locations, it just needed something where everything was sitting in the same place that was user-friendly for all of the departments that were using it, and that's why we went with Bike Rental Manager. So no, I don't think we'll go back to the spreadsheets.